everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited. Today we are going around London and visiting some of its best feminist, queer, intersectional, radical and socialist bookshops. Going to be meeting some of the booksellers, learning about these institutions, what they do for the community, and just having a browse of some excellent books. We are in Shoreditch for our first stop, which is the Common Press. So let's go in. I'm here with Alfonso, who is the bookshop manager here at Common Press. Can you tell us just a little bit about this space? Because it's got lots of different aspects going on, doesn't it?
It does, yes. So we're part of a much larger site. The Common Press part has been open since August of 2021, so we're about a year and a half old now.
Oh wow, new.
We've also got a bar next door, massive event space downstairs. We've got some new spaces opening up soon as well. We're a queer intersectional bookshop, so we stock obviously primarily books by LGBT authors, also books by authors of colour, books on progressive politics, disability studies, environmental justice, feminism, etc.
Yeah. So how did this place come about then?
So originally it was just the bar next door, and the bar had a very queer focus, very queer staff, and they just realised, well, with all the events we were getting and all the interest that there was in the local community, that there was a real need for a bookshop like this. And indeed we found out pretty much as soon as we opened the doors just how much a space like this was needed by so many different communities across London.
Yeah.
And it's a real privilege to be here for them and to do so many events that support and showcase their talent and creativity and all the amazing books that they write.
Yeah, and be an independent bookshop as well.
Indeed,
Yeah.
indeed. It's a rare thing, and this is a particularly special one. So this area, Shoreditch, was very much the sort of heart of queer London for a long time, or the alternative queer scene away from Soho and, you know, Greek Street, etc., the more central bit.
I didn't know that.
But also like the locus for a lot of different other communities. Obviously, we're just off Brick Lane, very long-standing Asian community, also a big Jewish community in the 1930s.
Yeah. I saw you have like a Jewish colouring book over there as well.
Yeah. I mean, lots of books on people from all kinds of walks of life.
Well, I'd love to get like some of your recommendations, even just like personal ones of like some of your personal fave books. I have to ask about the kids section as well, because I just in the last year had a baby, he's 9 months old. I want to obviously get him really into intersectional books.
Yeah, well, I think
what have we got for little babies?
Board books down here.
We love a board
in our Doll's House bookcase. Yeah, I think this space in particular is really important, and it's still a growing thing because people kind of don't expect a queer bookshop to have a children's section. So it means a lot to a lot of the parents that come and use it, both because they're queer parents or because they've got teenagers who are LGBT.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's just very few spaces like this in London, so even though it's small, it has a big impact. It's been one of the slightly tricky things about this space is making it sort of clear to everyone that we're working for that we're for lots of different groups of people, and it's a very welcoming place for a lot of different groups of people. Quite a lot of people sort of come in and assume that it's just a queer bookshop, but it's rather more than that. We launched this a couple of weeks ago. This is Bisexual Men Exist by Vineet Mehta. It's a really, really wonderful book. It's a sort of guide to understanding bisexual men's lives, which is critically understudied, so really great to have that now. Because
I feel like with the increased visibility of bisexuality, it is often bisexual women, and people there's a very different kind of stigma about
absolutely, that's very much the case, and Vineet does a wonderful job of exploring that.
Cool.
Yeah, a couple of other bestsellers in the section. Meg John Barker does extremely well for us.
I love MJ.
How to Understand Your Gender as well, which must be around here somewhere. Absolutely brilliant. And Laura Kate Dale's books are an absolute staple for us. Gender Euphoria, you probably know.
I think these two are on my shelf, like on my TBR. I'm like, need to get around to them.
Okay, so lots of our favourite fiction is out on the tables. There's a small press called Cypher, an independent queer press based in London, and absolutely everything they publish is just brilliant. 100 Boyfriends, Oakland-based writer called Brontes Pennell. And this is 100 pieces of flash fiction exploring gay male relationships, mostly African-American. And yeah, it's brutally cynical, exquisitely funny. It's a really, really amazing collection.
Is this the same author then?
It is indeed.
Johnny, look at that, the full collection.
Excellent titles.
So good. Front cover, like that font is giving me Instagram stories.
They're very, very good at that Cypher. They've been doing amazing work. Audre Lorde is probably our best-selling author, maybe just behind Sean Fay, but yes, we sell an absolutely extraordinary number of copies of that, and that's a really, really wonderful collection. Just almost everything she wrote critically, and a lot of her poetry as well.
Oh, amazing. Okay, right, I am going to have to buy something, and I'm going to have to decide what I want to buy. I'm really curious by, what are these two about? Are these also like different flash fiction, or are they
This
different?
one is a novel in itself.
Yeah.
It's about a man travelling through the deep south. Johnny, Would You Love Me If My Dick Were Bigger is more like 100 Boyfriends, I think, in that it's slightly more flash fiction-y. He's an extraordinary writer, just really wickedly funny.
Is this one your favourite?
It is, yeah. Yeah.
I might have to get that one.
It's just some of those, you just read the pieces and you're cringing so much.
I feel like it's probably a perspective also that I just don't have a huge amount of access to as well.
Yeah, it's very underpublished. There we go.
I'm excited. Got my book. Thank you so much.
Not at all, not at all. Thank you very much for coming.
Please come visit, guys. It's excellent. We are now in Bloomsbury and visiting Gaze the Word. So I'm with Jim, manager at Gaze the Word, and I'd love to hear a bit about the history of this place because it is such an institution here in London.
Well, the shop was founded in 1979 by a group called Gay Icebreakers. The man who came up with it was Ernest Hole, who had been in New York in 68, 69, and he was on holiday and became friends with Craig Rodwell, who was an activist, had founded the Oscar Wilde Memorial Bookshop, the first of the modern LGBT bookshops.
Yeah.
Craig is also one of the people who thought that the Stonewall riots should be remembered as one of the instigators of having the Christopher Street Parade, which has now become the modern Pride. So an important figure. So Ernest went to the first GLF meeting in the States, came back enthused and thought it took 10 years, and he used to run bookstalls and mail order from home and then set up the shop with friends.
And like, what were those first few decades like here?
Well, the shop did very well initially. The first third was bookshop, the rest cafe, so people were coming. It was a meeting space. Early prides in the late 70s, early 80s used to meet here.
Oh, wow.
There was a gay black group was founded, a lesbian discussion group, gay men's disabled group. There was always what was then a TVTS section, and we used to get the TVTS news. Groups used to, meet in the shop. And then it was doing very well until 84. And then the shop was raided. This is also happening at the same time as Lesbians, Gays, Support the Minors, who also used to meet here and collect money outside.
Oh, amazing.
So it's back in that day when there was
Yeah.
lots of activism. When I first came to the bookshop in 83, 84 as a young man, I came to Icebreakers, a gay socialist group, and met friends, talked about ideas, and some of those people are still among my best friends.
Amazing.
It could give me a bedrock of politics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
But
just so much history here.
there's
in
a lot
this
of
shop,
history.
and it's still here.
Like many independent bookshops, we almost closed. And then we put word out there and said, oi, this is how it is.
This is happening, yeah.
And suddenly all this interest came back about, oh my God, Gay's the word, can't lose Gay's the word.
Yeah.
So that revitalised the shop, and then the film Pride came out. And
Yeah.
Pride is the film about lesbians against both the minors, and that's brought a whole new generation. So right now, we've never been busier.
Really,
It's
that's amazing.
extraordinary.
That's so good to hear.
It's so good. And the other thing we get lots of teens and young people.
Amazing.
And back in the day, you would have people coming in, parents would ring us going, oh my God, my son or my daughter's come out. These days,
Yeah.
they come in with their kids and
Amazing,
let the
yeah.
kids choose. And also it's a safe space. If you're trans or non-binary or whatever, that you can come into the shop and you've come home. This is your space. This is why we're here. And it's still the case that any money made goes back into the shop.
Yeah.
It's set up by socialists. Here to pay our bills and keep going, but we're not there to get rich quick and leave.
Yeah.
It's about community. We're still a community bookshop.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Very welcome.
Yeah. Jim was just explaining to us, these are Pord's pins. He was one of the earlier book managers here, and these are all of his activist pins from over the years. It's this one again. I think I might have to get it as it's followed us here. Interesting. There's a new edition of Heartstopper. That is absolutely gorgeous. Oh my goodness.
I mean, you can read it and reread it. It's called The Faggots and Their Friends Between Revolutions.
Ooh, what a
Came out
title.
in 1977. It's a kind of fairy tale-like description of the queer liberation front at the time, and it's really
nice.
standed the test of time very well. if you read about concepts of care and love and sex and pleasure and what we're fighting for, as they were written by Larry Mitchell, like.
Is it like
from his
poetry or?
No, it's just like
Short little
prose.
bits. Oh, nice. We are now at Bookmarks, like bookmarks, but also like car marks. Get it? You get it? Let's go in. I'm here with Ursula, who is the manager here at Bookmarks, and this place is 50 years old this year.
That's right, that's right. So actually in this site here, we opened 25 years ago, but Bookmarks as a bookshop started 50 years ago in September of this year.
Oh, wow.
But we're starting our celebrations early.
Why not? So how did this place come about then, and like what is it all about?
Initially, it started through its own publications, publishing left-wing, revolutionary socialist books, and that kind of started in somebody's living room.
Oh, wow.
Like that, and then they went along to demonstrations with a little table and they sold things on there. And then it grew from there into a shop that was in Finsbury Park, and it was there for 25 years, and then it came here in 98. It came here, and that was really about wanting to put socialist ideas in a much more central part of London where we could reach a much wider audience.
I mean, you're like right by Oxford Street.
Yeah, you're right, in the heart of London.
Yeah. Obviously, it started out being like socialist and revolutionary, but you've got like loads of other kind of stuff here and kind of like how that all intersects, I guess.
Yes. Our publications are all socialist and predominantly revolutionary, but we are a socialist left-wing bookshop, and in our shop we want to reflect all of the different ideas within that movement, and we want people to come to this shop and to be able to find whatever it is they're looking for with regards to finding the answers that help us change the world that we currently live in.
I'd love for you to show me around a little bit. Obviously, like the work that I do is very much about sexuality and gender.
Yes.
And I see you've got like a whole section.
Yes, yep. We've got this section here on women's liberation, and here we've got black struggle, and here we've got LGBT.
So I'm looking for something specific. So
Yep.
we're currently working on a video about how capitalism impacts our sex lives and relationships.
Yes.
Do you have anything that might help us in our research?
Yes, we do actually. Let me just see if I can find them. We had Sexed Up. Have you heard of Sexed Up?
No, I haven't.
It's not so much about sex, but it's looking at sexualization and how we are sexualized, which then all in turn impacts on how we feel about our bodies and how we feel about sex. So this is a book that we find a lot of people are really interested in, particularly women with daughters, because it really looks at how the whole of our society sexualizes us from the moment that we're born, and how that then impacts on how we're able to develop into the people that we truly and fully could be if we weren't having those pressures put on us. And I think that also then more generally, as a Marxist, as a socialist, I would say this little pamphlet, little booklet that we have here, we sell so many of that. That's a great little book. And also, this is another one of ours, Marxism and Women's Liberation.
Oh, okay.
Both of these, because I think when we talk about sex, sexuality, feeling comfortable with our bodies, knowing what we want, what we like, all those things are actually impacted by living in a society where we are oppressed because of our gender and our sex. And that, we would argue that we, like the book I just mentioned to you, Why We'll Have Better Sex Under Socialism, we will all have better sex under socialism, because we will all be free of the burdens that weigh us down, make us self-conscious, make us uncomfortable with ourselves. Angela Davies, anything by her just sells and sells. Like as soon as it comes in, it pretty much goes out again. She just still has so much to say to young women becoming interested in anti-racist politics, becoming interested in feminist politics. She still just has so much to say to them, and very, very popular. This, I think, is quite an important book that was actually recommended to us by Judith Orr, who wrote both of these books here. Yeah. And that's, to do with the attacks that we're facing on the right to abortion now. Particularly, obviously, it's a very big issue in America with reversal of Roe versus Wade, but it's not just there.
Yeah.
Here in the UK as well, they're slowly chipping away at our right to control our fertility.
What's this one? The motherhood penalty. How to stop motherhood being the kiss of death for your career. This is something that I'm feeling right now.
Also, we do have a children's section where we try to have lots of books about activism and anti-racism and LGBT issues. So before you go, you might want to have a little look there.
Definitely see if I can find something, yeah. Da, da, da. Young fiction. This book is feminist. The Mummy Marches. A is for activist. H is for healthy food, a human right. Oh, this one looks cool. My Own Way, celebrating gender freedom for kids. So cute. Be yourself, free and brave. Boy or girl, none or both. This is cute. The truth is something only you can know. I think I have to get this. So I think I'm gonna get these two. Can I please get these two? We are now near King's Cross and visiting Housmans. Okay. So this is Catherine, one of the managers here at Housmans. Please tell us about this radical bookshop.
This is Housmans. We're one of London's oldest radical bookshops. It first opened in 1945
Oh wow.
in a different location, and then we've been here in King's Cross since 1959, so 60 years, 70 years, whatever that is. And so the building as well has a real tradition of kind of radical activism and organising, and it's been quite involved with a lot of sort of gay rights stuff in history. And kind of in the 80s, Gay Liberation Front were based here, and also London Gay and Lesbian Switchboard as it was then, which is sort of LGBT helpline.
Yeah.
So a lot of those organisations kind of in times when it was hard to find office space, I think, were here, and then we still have campaigning organisations and stuff up above us. So it's a kind of little radical centre basically in London. And it was originally set up just after the war by a group of writers and activists as a kind of peace bookshop to distribute peace movement related books and periodicals and that kind of thing. And then since then it's sort of expanded to cover kind of liberation, social justice, politics of all kinds, so sort of feminism, anti-racism, LGBTQ, politics, environment, all those kind of movements. So it's kind of broad left activists bookshop basically.
Amazing. And I also spotted downstairs you've got a whole second-hand
we've got a second-hand room, and we also do kind of fiction and children's books and poetry, but kind of sort of socially engaged fiction, and, you know, if not directly political, kind of still with a bit of a radical edge.
I'd love to get some recommendations from you, some of your favourites.
Yeah. Okay, well first I'm going to go over here.
Yes.
This is, you know, it's a bestseller, and rightly so. You might have already had it recommended to you today.
I bought that recently actually, but I've not had a chance to read it yet, but I'm dying to.
So it's really brilliant, really important book right now. I think it just kind of smashes through all the toxic transphobia that we're swimming in at the moment, and kind of just demonstrates that trans issues aren't this separate thing. They're part of issues that affect everyone, you know, healthcare, education, poverty, discrimination, all of those things. It kind of places the trans rights movement right at the centre of social justice struggles more generally, which is really necessary I think right now. And it's brilliant, it's really accessible, and you know, a good read, so always recommending that.
Okay, amazing, yes.
This is a really interesting book. So this is kind of
This is another one that I've been dying to read. I've heard a lot about this. Yeah,
it's brilliant. This is The Right to Sex by Amir Srinivasan, and it's an essay collection basically. It's really nuanced and thoughtful, and kind of exploring power and consent and desire.
Because it kind of touches on incels as well, doesn't
exactly.
it? Yeah.
There's a really interesting essay about incel culture, in a really thoughtful kind of digs into the complexities of some of this stuff. And it's because it's essays, you can kind of dip in and out a little bit and stuff.
Yeah.
Care Manifesto is great actually. This has been a little bestseller for a while. So this is there's a group called the Care Collective, and it's just a little book, and it's kind of what it sounds like, but it's about how we need to restructure our society to place care and value, caregiving in all its forms, at the centre of our society and our economy, and completely reimagine
That's really
how
interesting.
we live. This is a really beautiful book about James Baldwin, kind of introducing his writing and his politics. That's really, I think, kind of relevant for contemporary politics as well. And yeah, this is another novel, bit of sci-fi, bit of kind of union rights. So there's always good variety of stuff on this table.
I do love me a sci-fi.
Our table displays always kind of change, but at the moment we've got Indigenous resistance and writing. So the stuff about kind of Indigenous politics and land rights movements, which are kind of very urgent right now and very tied up with environmental movements and stuff like that. But there's also some fiction on here. So this is a really amazing, like, classic Native American writer's beautiful book called Ceremony that's been kind of reissued recently, sort of modern classic. So try to, like, put a bit of stuff out that people hasn't necessarily heard of to discover. So this is where we have our kind of fiction and art and graphic novels. We've got quite a big poetry section.
Oh, nice.
Also zines. So these are kind of all little DIY publications and stuff that people bring in for us. Fiction, sci-fi. We have a big feminist sci-fi book club.
Oh, cool.
So that's quite a popular section as well. And then we have kids' books over here.
Oh, I've just spotted my first book of feminism for boys.
Yeah, that's a popular one.
Oh my God. Respecting your mum is the right thing to do. Rowan? Oh my God. Some of the, like, activist kids and baby books, like, do make me laugh a lot. I think I'm gonna get myself this. Can I get this, please? Thank you. So, this is slightly different. We are here at the offices of the second shelf. So, let's take a look. So this is Alison, the founder of The Second Shelf, and I'm so excited to hear more about it. What is this amazing room?
So we are a rare book business focused primarily on books by and about women that I founded about 5 years ago. The rare book trade is primarily male, and although that's changing and has shifted, it's still about, generally speaking, about 85% male-run business.
Okay.
And book collectors have tended historically, although again, not entirely, to be men. And I noticed when I started learning about rare books, there were books and authors that I was looking for that I wasn't seeing, or if I saw them, like for instance, books by women were actually, for the most part, less money, especially in the modern first editions, than like their male contemporary writers. Like, all I want is for books to be valued on the shelves and for books by women to have their deserved value. So I have pulled a few things that have come to mind.
Oh, have you? Excellent.
This has just been acquired by a university library. So this is Juna Barnes. She was a lesbian writer, that sort of dawn of like that Belle Epoque French era where there were salons and Parisian literary salons going. And this book, it's basically was published and handed out on the street by her because it was lesbian material. There were only 1,000 published. The Lady's Almanac, it tells the story of these characters which are inspired by her real life lovers month by month. So like a farmer's almanac, but with lesbians. And this is actually one of the proofs, a cover on vellum, hand-colored by Juna Barnes and Mina Loy, who is a famous artist and lover and friend.
Oh, it's got like a handwritten...
It has her handwritten signature. So it's a really, really special copy. It's quite scarce, 1,000 printed copies, but you would rarely have all of these things together.
Yeah,
and so it's going off to a new home. This is The Tender Buttons by Gertrude Stein. This is her poetry that's unusual because she wrote it inspired by Picasso and Cubism. So the poems are quite unusual, experimental. She was in a relationship with Alice B. Toklas, who basically, it was her wife, and they would hold the Paris Literary Salon, so again back in Paris, where they funded Hemingway, James Joyce, and a lot of the people who
So I've heard of all of them, but I haven't heard of...
You haven't heard of her? I love this because the subtext of this is that it's broken up into categories. So it's like cake, teapots, potatoes, asparagus, and they're very unusual little sort of like prose poems, but they really have a context of domesticity and her love life with her partner. This is April Ashley's Odyssey. And April Ashley is one of the first like really visible trans women in Britain.
Oh, okay.
So we have an inclusive and celebratory view of we are not like like books aren't binary and neither really are people.
Yeah.
So even though we do focus mostly on like women, it's not cis women. I think the history of books is that like people were gendered, but when I've been doing this work, what I've realized is actually like the rare book trade has taught me that like trans women have always existed.
Yeah.
There's many of the lesbian writers who like state in their diaries they consider themselves men, but like there wasn't a word,
Okay,
you know,
yeah,
things like that. We work really hard to make sure that we are not excluding anybody from what we do. This is a first edition, second printing, so it was the second runoff of Audre Lorde's very famous lecture, which is basically a short essay on the erotic. And it is one of the best things ever. I mean, written, inspiring to everybody who reads it. I don't know many people who don't take away something from this this text.
It's so interesting the way that it just, it reframes a lot of stuff for you.
This is fun. So Octavia Butler is like a science fiction writer who's really had a lot to say about, I mean, she passed away, but her works are being reissued a lot lately because it's very feminist, but also like things like the pandemic and things like dystopian realities are really central to her work.
What do you have that would be in a budget kind of realm?
Okay, so that's a good question. These books are Muriel Spark first editions, and a lot of them are under 30 pounds, and that's her autobiography. This is great. This is a memoir of a woman looking back at her time in London in the 1950s. We actually have tons under 30 pounds, so it really just, who are some of your favorite writers?
I mean, oh my goodness. I don't know about like older writers, but like genre-wise, I'm a fan of sci-fi and fantasy, and then also have recently gotten into a bit of like romance fiction.
This is good. I just kind of want to give you this one because it's like, she's amazing, but it's not really, it's a galley, so I think you should just take that from me. Just
what does that mean, a galley?
It's a uncorrected proof, but like if you haven't, like it's fantasy, she's an African-American writer, and she's amazing, so you should just, it's free from us.
Thank you.
Do we have any Georgette? Have you read any Georgette Heyer in terms of romance? It's really, really, really good. It's probably one of the better books I've read in the last 10 years.
Oh, wow. Is it new or?
Yeah, I think it's like
How much is that?
18, 20 quid.
Yeah, it's 20 quid. It's good. That's a book like to collect to last too, and it's like it will stay with you.
I think I'm intrigued.
You're
by
intrigued
this
by
one.
this. That's a great recommendation. It's a fun first edition.
Yeah.
It's actually like a critically acclaimed book.
Thank you so much for these.
Yeah, enjoy them.
Yeah,
I want to
will.
hear what you think of them.
I will. I mean, I need to find time to read currently with the little baby, but thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
showing us
Yeah.
around. I now have a tote bag full of books. It's been such a fun day. Thank you so much to all of the bookshops for letting us film and showing us around, and it has just been so fun learning about all the histories of the different places and also getting some recommendations and some gorgeous books. Quick book haul. We have My Own Way, Celebrating Gender Freedom for Kids, The Care Manifesto, Sexism and the System, 100 Boyfriends, The Vegetarian, Moon and the Mars, and The Faggots and Their Friends Between Revolutions, and Bisexual Men Exist. What a haul, what a haul.